Is there a certain number that you think we have to make in order for us to be having success within that first year or first few months doing FBA? Or is it
Um,
just if you just make a profit in general?
oh yeah. Um, yeah, I was just writing about this in the ebook, like, how much is successful. Well, the big picture is like, if you make a profit, on any business in the first year, like it's successful. I think like 9 out of 10 startups don't turn a profit like ever or something like that. But yeah, I say like if your product is in the green, like gross positive, 500 bucks a month, like that's 500 bucks a month, like in your pocket. Like I would keep that going. Like I'll take that for sure. Um, Obviously, so that's like, yeah, 20 bucks a day profit, 600 bucks a month. I would take that for sure. So yeah, but I would say anything less than 500 bucks a month is, um, you either should come out with a version 2.0 and make it better, um, if possible. I would say that's at the very, very bottom, but like, yeah, it depends on the situation, but yeah, any 500 bucks a month is, yeah, I consider that successful.
It really depends on the product. If you do your research carefully, if you study the market and do your differentiation, all that, you'll really give yourself a big, because in business you make the money when you buy, not when you sell. In this case, you make your money when you select your product. So product selection is so crucial. If you do the steps correctly and follow everything we tell you, the chances of selecting a product that is successful is much more higher. That's why it's so important for you guys to really follow the letter, everything we tell you in the course. And I read a stat that said that over 50% of sellers on Amazon don't make any profit, but there's 20 or 30% that make over $100,000 a year, 5% that make over $1 million. So now it's definitely possible. I would say in the first year, if you can make at least, I mean, well, I don't know. If you do your product selection carefully, you should be able to get at least 500 to $1,000 within 6 months, a month.
So yeah, what I found, that I talk about this in the course, but like the big picture, um, products that ended up catching on traction and being successful for my brand is about 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. Same with my little brother's brand, and I found this to be pretty typical on Amazon. 1 in 3, 1 in 4 success rate is obviously better than the typical company or startup. Like 1 in 10 end up being successful. So what I found is, yeah, that's what I found. So big picture is, many of us are going to have to launch 3 or 4 products before we find that one that really takes off. It's like, all right, that's my bread and butter that I can build on. So a lot of people, I've bet over the years, they launch one product and they're like, it didn't catch on. Oh, I guess that means I failed at Amazon, right? And then they just, stop doing it. So that's, if you want to be successful on Amazon, that's how you don't be successful. You launch one product and you think that you're done. You're going to have to learn from that product and either choose another niche or another niche within that existing niche and launch another one. So that's the reality that we're coming into this game facing. Think of it like a playoff series. You lose game 1, doesn't mean you've lost the whole battle. You got to come back out, fight for game 2, game 3, game 4, maybe even game 5. So building an Amazon store, building an Amazon business, not just one product, but it has to start with one. So let's think, big picture. We're going to have we're going to be launching, let's just say 5 products, over this next X number of years, depends on your cash flow situation and whatnot. But what's my store going to be? Launch all those. And then let's say it's like 3, 4, 5 products. Let's hope 1 or 2 of those catches on that provides the the bulk of my business. So that's usually how it works. Yep.
And even if the first product doesn't work, don't despair. That's an invaluable lesson for you. You should learn a lot from that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even if it doesn't work the first time around, it's okay. Just look at it from a positive perspective. That's going to teach you 10 times more than if your first product were to be successful. Because you will know, in business, it's important to know what to do, but what's even more important is to know what not to do. And that's something that you can only learn from so-called mistakes or setbacks. They're just a temporary setbacks. So the first product doesn't work, so you take a step back, say, okay, what's not working? Why is not working? You analyze that, and on the next go around, knowing the lesson you learned, you do it differently, you adapt that, and this way you will be much more likely to succeed. So just like college, in college, you learn so much, but in contrast, this time around with this challenge, you're actually going to have something to show for it. You will build an asset as opposed to just
Yeah.
handing out the paper to the teacher.
Yeah. And I always try to remind people like this is, you can look at this as, a 3 to 6 month, business semester, business class, business project,
Yeah.
where let's say you invest like a few grand, into your Amazon product that you launch, but after 6 months it broke even, didn't make money, but it sold, but broke even overall. One way to look at it is you just got a 6-month business class, business education for free. You broke even. Boom. You didn't have to pay for that school. And you learned more, most likely, than all of those students who paid for business school. They just paid thousands just to learn it. You just learned all that for free, and you learned more. And then now you've gotten all that market research, all that experience. You just created a company, a brand. Now you can pivot off that. Boom. Every entrepreneur needs to get their failures out of the way. Got one failure out of the way. Now you got to go get the next one out of the way. Next one. As they say, every entrepreneur knows you got to have some failed projects before you find that one that's your real hit project. It's every entrepreneur. Bill Gates, he had some company before Microsoft that didn't make money. Every entrepreneur. So launching these products is like, boom, okay. Getting these little projects out of the way. If you get lucky, boom, it'll take off and your first project will hit and make you a bunch of money, but I've found that's usually not the case. With Amazon and with any entrepreneur startup. Your first project is, you got to get lucky for that to be the one that becomes the long-term money maker.
It's like getting like an MBA course on Overdrive. You get to learn 10 times more, 10 times faster. And if the education system were to be really working, they would make this kind of challenges mandatory part of every course, because that teaches you 10 times more than anything you can learn even at the best business schools in the world. So don't be afraid to try. It's okay if don't throw in the towel if your first product is not working.
Yep, that's the big picture for sure. It's very important always to keep the big picture in mind. And on that note, I always try to keep my big picture in mind, because sometimes, being in front of your laptop every day, I'm just like, you can kind of wonder, like, what's the point of all this? Like, I'm just like, as entrepreneurs, we got to keep the big picture in mind to enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't want to be working on this one thing I don't want to be doing today. I don't want to do this. But I remind myself, I'm doing this so I can make $1 million a year in passive income and live in a penthouse like this, have a personal assistant, and be able to travel anywhere in the world and live in any Airbnb that I want at any time. I'm doing this to live my absolute dream, to get rich and live an amazing life. So basically keeping your dreams in the back of your head. I got to remind myself the big picture, the dream of why I'm all doing this, visualize. It's been pretty easy for me this past month to visualize where I want to live, because I want to live in a penthouse that I'm in right now, which happens just to be like the lounge in my. So, you know, try to remind yourself, and this is talking to myself as well, try to remind yourself, you know, the end goal of this. That's why we're doing these nitty gritty, you know, research projects. It's for the big picture goal.
You're just living living what you're preaching. You're just living that life, you know, because
Yep.
you're doing what everybody aspires to, traveling, living in beautiful places, not having a boss, waking up when you want to. And that's priceless. Especially you notice that when you see, especially in times like this, when you see people being forced to be at home, wondering how they're going to make their next mortgage payment or rent payment and stuff like that. It's a very tough situation to be in. And once you have an Amazon business, then that will once you select a good product, that will become a non-issue for you.
Yep. Yeah, it's like it's like building a hotel. You know, first you start, it's just an open land, and then you gotta lay the foundation, and then, you know, for years it's like we're doing it ourselves. You know, as solo entrepreneurs, you got to do everything ourselves. Building the hotel, yes, we're gonna get cuts, we're gonna get bruises. It's gonna be sweaty and hot outside. It's gonna be things are gonna fall apart. It's not gonna go as planned. But just like keeping it back in your mind, I'm building this because it's gonna be one day. You know, we're not going to get rich on Amazon overnight. It's like, let's think 3 to 5 years down the line when we're raking it in. But in a few years, this is going to be a big, beautiful hotel that's going to be giving me passive income. Every other week, paychecks from Amazon. So keeping that big picture in mind. It's building a physical asset. And then, of course, in the future, you can sell your Amazon store. Brandon and I, and I'm sure Payman has known people who have sold their Amazon stores for 6-7 figure payouts.
Well, the brand that we started while living in China, after 2 years, it was sold last summer. So we sold the team that was working with the small little coffee brand that we started while living in China. After a year and a half, it was purchased by an investment firm for 6 figures.
Yep,
so, yeah,
not bad.
Yeah.